Welcome back to the D1Softball podcast, part of the Learfield Family and Varsity Network. I'm Jenna and my co-host Amanda Lorenz. And before we jump in, just a reminder that when you're out of town and want to keep up with live college sports, be sure to download the free Varsity Network app, available for both Apple and Android. Get your games on the go with the Varsity Network app. Especially helpful during March Madness, whether that's women's basketball or honestly, it still feels like madness for softball too, Amanda. I don't know. I think it counts.
Yes. Yeah. Feeling it.
Right. Feeling it. So today's lineup, we'll talk through the new top 25 rankings, a little bit about week 7, and then we'll head into today's interview with Virginia Tech pitcher Emma Lemley, who we're thrilled about, and then into the plays of the week and the win and whiff of the week. So lots on the docket as usual.
Yep. Let's get into it.
Let's do it. Top 25. So the number one thing is the number one spot, I think, in terms of changes. So if we look at the top 25 this week, there's a new number one in town. Texas reclaims the top spot. They swept their first home SEC series over Auburn, and they actually switched places with number 2 Oklahoma, who did fall one spot after losing one game at Missouri, although they did win the series. So number 3 Florida, number 4 LSU stay put. And then number 5, Florida State, and number 14, Arkansas had the biggest jumps. The Noles moved up 9 spots after going 4-0 on the week. That was a win at Alabama and then a sweep at Duke, which was huge for them. And then the Razorbacks climbed 8 spots after they took the series at Tennessee on the road. Entering again in the top 25 is Clemson at number 23. And that was a dominant series sweep for them over Syracuse. And they're now 6-3 in ACC play. So those are some of the highlights from this week. SEC still with 11 teams leading the way. The ACC has 5, Big 12 has 4, Big 10 3, and then the American and Conference USA are also still represented. So lots of adjustments as we've seen so far this year, Amanda, but your gut reactions to this one.
Yeah, I think obviously Texas moving up, OU moving down. I think, you compare the losses. So obviously also a perfect week for Texas and big sweep against Auburn and OU, going in, we would have thought they would have swept Missouri. So I think that was the thing. I feel like they're having such similar seasons so far. It's so hard. Like you just have to choose that, like how the week went. But yes, huge week for Florida State. Obviously they dominated the week, that's for sure. Winning a huge game at Alabama, no matter what Alabama looks like. I feel like we've said this every week on the podcast that the Rhodes House is not an easy place to play, no matter what kind of Alabama team you're playing that year. So huge win, and then obviously sweeping the series at Duke. Which they've had a great season so far. I feel like Duke is riding the waves a little bit. We've seen some really good out of Duke. We've seen some not so good, but they're still at their core really good competitive team. So still huge out of Florida State. I think the biggest for me was Arkansas winning the series at Tennessee. That was huge. Really huge for them. They made a statement, especially game 2, I think it was, winning 9-0, and then also going 8 innings and winning game 1. So yep, huge out of Arkansas, and definitely they've also been riding the wave a little bit. So excited to see them, have that outcome against a really good Tennessee team.
And you're right, though. That's softball, that's sports, right? There's peaks and valleys. We talk about it all the time. Everyone we talk to talks about it. And it was actually interesting because there was more losing this week, speaking of valleys. And I mean that in the sense of more than half of the top 25 lost at least a game this past week. And 9 of the longest active win streaks in college softball at the D1 level came to an end. It's part of it, right? And we're deeper and deeper into the season.
Yeah, and like this is when conference, we're kind of getting in the swing of things. Like their bodies are tired, they're traveling a lot. It's just it's starting to wear on you a little bit. The excitement wears off just a tad, and you're trying to figure out like really what's our true identity, not just what was working well at the time. So just, riding the waves and figuring it out, learning how to deal with the failures, how to recover and all those things. But yeah, you start to see just a little bit more. It's really hard to win a series. It's really, really hard to sweep. It's so hard to beat a good team. And I feel like every team is coached well and they compete well. So, and they're scout well. So
Yeah.
you're having to compete against all of these things. So it's really hard to beat a good team 3 times. It's
Yeah.
really hard to beat a good team 3 times on the road. Like there's so many different factors that I think, you know, it's a good sign, right? Because it just means that our sport keeps continuing to grow where there's more parity because everyone is good. Everyone works hard. Everyone knows how to compete. Everyone has all of the tech and all of the things to make scouting easier. So
Yeah.
it's just a testament to our game and how much it's growing and how just because on paper so and so is supposed to win doesn't mean that the game knows that they're supposed to win. So that's what we love as viewers. We love watching and seeing two really good teams get after it, and we ride the waves with our favorite team. It's just how it works.
Yeah, it's who
Keep on
executes that
riding.
day.
Yes,
Yes,
yeah.
yes, literally,
Yeah.
literally. Yeah, I think that is very, very well put. And on that note, let's head into just the week 7 recap. You mentioned the fact that conference play with the series format and all those things
Mhm.
it's hard. It's
Yeah,
hard to
yeah, it's hard.
I feel like within a conference too. Obviously, there's some new people in new places, but for the more long-standing matchups, they're so used to each other. We talk about how in
Mhm.
rivalry anything can happen. Well, I think when you know each other really well, just within the same conference too, like you never know. And that's what we saw, like you mentioned, with Arkansas and Tennessee. To do that on the road was pretty insane.
Yes. Like as a pitcher, one thing can work for you one day, and a hitter like Bree Ellis is gonna make sure that that doesn't work for you the next day, right? So you just have these elite hitters and elite pitchers. It works both ways, right? Of just the ability to make adjustments from day to day, but also from at bat to at bat, right? Like in game adjustments and just you're dealing with really smart athletes who just do a really good job of not only like just competing their butts off, but knowing how they need to change. They can't do the same thing and expect a different result. So just really, I think that is a huge testament to the amount of technology that we have these days of just,
Yeah.
what scouting looks like and, what to expect. But the ability to use that to make adjustments and quickly turn the page and get better is really fun to watch.
Yeah, I agree. And it's funny you mentioned Brie Ellis, for example. I remember they were talking going into Mic'd Up Monday, game 3. They were like, she's 3-9. It's been a little bit softer contact. And for Brie Ellis, that's a quiet, quiet weekend so far.
Mhm.
And so all of these things are being discussed, and then all of a sudden she just lifts one out, right? And it's like, well, those are the adjustments that we're talking about, and that's just like what makes her so elite. For example.
Yeah, I feel like Brie Ellis, especially, like I feel like her ears are like on alert at all times. Like
Yes.
she heard them say it and she was like, "Oh, you're so cute having that opinion." Boom! Like immediately wants to shake things up. Like she is one
Yes.
of my favorite follows on social media too because she just has so much fun with it. And yeah, I think that that's like she had posted like she had like one like rough like it was fine. It was just like one not great game. And she posts like a slow-mo of her like clapping at second. She's like me like when I finally hit the ball today. Like just like funny thing because it's such a game of failure, and especially like hitting in the SEC, which we've talked about, so much of where I believe is the hardest conference in our game right now to compete in, especially as a hitter. And it's hard. It's not easy to be a good hitter. It's not easy to be a good hitter in this league, right? And face these elite pitchers day in and day out.
Yeah.
So you have to have fun with it. You have to ride the wave and learn to laugh and just turn the page and get better. But I do love that. I love following her. She always makes me chuckle.
I've noticed that too, and it is nice because if you take it too seriously, if you take yourself too seriously, like it'll eat you alive. So
Oh
I
yes,
so appreciate it too. I
yes.
100% agree with you.
Which we've
Um,
all done from time to time. It's
oh,
all
oh
yeah.
yeah,
Definitely not easy to have fun with the failure. It's not
Yeah.
easy.
You're right, though. Her ears are burning. And the bat's hot. The bat's hot,
Uh-huh.
though. So there we go.
That's for sure.
The other thing that I cannot not mention is Carlin Pickens with the fastest pitch in college softball history. She hit 78 miles an hour, 78.2 miles an hour
Yep.
to be specific. She already tied the fastest thrown pitch with Monica Abbott at 77. But the fact that she broke it and then it was in Knoxville, game 3, they get the win, like all of these things kind of align really nicely. And then how supportive Monica Abbott was on social media and publicly about it too. She was so fired up. I think she accepted a collaboration on Instagram that was like all about Carlin breaking, and making the new record basically. And it's like, it wasn't even about her, which is like the point.
Yeah. I'm sure it lessens the blow, right? Like it's also a Lady Vol, like
Oh yeah.
doing it. And I think she's working with Monica in some capacity with the whole NIL situation, whether that's mentorship or whatever it is. But I feel like I've seen that on social media as well. So it is really cool to see them just have that dynamic of, the support from Monica, but also like the thought of standing in the box and trying to hit 78 miles an hour makes my hands hurt a little bit.
Oh my God, yeah.
So peace and blessings and thoughts and prayers to all the hitters out there having to try to figure out how to hit that, because that does seem a little crazy.
Yeah, just a little. I saw some
Yeah.
math, people breaking it down, where it's equivalent in terms of reaction time and everything to trying to hit 110 mile an hour fastball in baseball. So
I believe it.
just let that sink in, craziness. But looking at the OU Mizzou matchup too, of course, Oklahoma answers, right? They drop that game, they answer. I feel like they come back with a vengeance, like every time they've lost in recent years. It was the one loss to Baylor in 2023, and then they lost the series to Texas and some Big 12 hiccups, and then they come back and they win the Natty. So I think they're just fine, but I also think Mizzou really needed that kind of pick me up, because they've been riding the waves, as you said, too, and it's been tough for them so far this year. But that goes to show, like what you said, the game doesn't know who's supposed to win.
Yeah, sometimes you just need a little bit of life to know, like, okay, wait, we can compete with anybody. We thought that in the beginning of the season. We kind of took a little bit of a dip, but just sometimes just that ounce of positivity can change the trajectory of your season. So, yep, agreed with you. Like they needed that, and I think especially early in the season, I remember being like, oof, like Mizzou, like they look good. And just with the way things go, especially then, they have to travel a lot, which it's a lot on your body. It's pretty cold up there,
Yeah.
especially in preseason. So yeah, like totally agree. They needed that, and it's just proof if they can be the one to beat the last team who's undefeated, then who's to say that they can't beat anybody?
Yeah, 100%. Exactly. I think another team that took some lumps early on, but had a great weekend, for example, is Clemson too. They swept Syracuse. They didn't just sweep Syracuse. They outscored them 33-1. And
Yeah.
you saw some crazy stats for Alex Brown, for example, this week.
Yeah, Alex Brown went, I have it written down, 10 for 10. She hit 1,000 on the weekend. 2 doubles, 1 home run, 3 walks. But just insane. She goes in and does not get out the whole time that she that she is at Syracuse. I think that's just pretty incredible. And she's done a really good job for Clemson. Since she transferred over from North Carolina, she's definitely been someone that Clemson can count on. But really, I just insane. Like there are really great weekends and there are exceptional weekends. She had an exceptional weekend up in Syracuse, and where it was very cold too. And like,
Yes,
as a hitter, it is not fun to hit in the cold.
it's not.
And
You're right.
she made it look fun though.
I mean, I guess if you connect that well, sure.
Yeah, apparently it didn't make your hands hurt at all.
Yeah. Yeah, her slash line was she hit 1,000, like you said, slugged 1,500. Like what? And then of course a perfect on base percentage too. On top of that, but just insane.
Stupid. So cool. Well done, Alex.
Yeah, 3 walks too. I give her credit for that, just because you can get a little excited in the box when you're hitting so well like that. But
Yeah,
she stayed
yeah.
disciplined. Yeah. Yeah. So that, I mean, we saw they made it back in the rankings. So
Mhm.
they're learning from those lumps,
Yes.
should we say,
Yes.
like we've seen. Another interesting one was in the Big 12, just seeing Arizona State, of course. I
Mhm.
had a feeling the Sun Devils might steal one, and it goes back to
Yeah.
exactly what we were talking about. Like, you never know with rivalries, but ASU took the Big 12 series from BYU, UCF. They're now number 24 in RPI after the weekend. So they're not anyone you can sniff at, really. And they were hosting,
Mm.
right? Like, it was on
Mhm.
their turf. But I think interesting to keep an eye on. Of course, Arizona we've known for most of the season, but ASU in the Big 12, along with, maybe BYU, Iowa State, keep an eye on those guys too.
Yeah, absolutely. And just like I feel like that's such a traditional rivalry in our
Oh,
sport.
yeah.
Like no matter what like both teams look like it just means a little bit more to compete that weekend for those teams. So no matter like how much Arizona was favorited, Arizona State would have something to say about it.
100%. And you're right. We all know exactly what that's like with those sort of matchups and rivalries.
Absolutely.
What else stood out to you this week? I feel like we could go on for days, but
I know that I have a lot. But Iowa taking one from UCLA was pretty
yeah,
huge. That was another one where you would expect UCLA to go in and win all of those games. South Carolina, Texas Tech. South Carolina taking 2 out of 3 at home versus
yep,
Texas Tech was huge for them. But also, I just want to give a shout out to both of those programs for that scheduling. Like that's awesome for a bye weekend to have that huge matchup and during conference time to have like a really good opportunity to face a really good team. Feel super regional esque of figuring out a way to maybe an unfamiliar opponent to try and figure out how to win 2 games. So props to them. Definitely setting their kids up for success, how they can compete in the postseason. So I'd love to see that matchup in a bye weekend. I thought it was awesome.
I'm always going to respect that when people are
Yeah.
willing to play people, you know? Like, I
Yeah.
just think you're right. You're so right. And
Yeah.
it can help in terms of your battle tested, and then even with RPI and different things like that. Like, yeah, test your team,
Yes.
see how
Yes.
it goes. I'm with you.
Especially when they both are having such great years. It's almost like a win-win, like you said, as far as RPI goes. Like for Texas Tech to out to a top 10 South Carolina and see what they got on the road. Like it's not going to hurt you with competing, especially going on the road. It's only going to do good things for RPI.
Yeah. And then just get you ready for the rest of Big 12. I
Yes,
mean,
yes, 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 for sure.
yeah, 100%. In the Big 10, I definitely want to highlight Ohio State.
Mm.
Um, they swept Michigan State, but they scored 48 runs
Oh,
in 17 innings. They didn't even play like a full 21, right? Because of the run roll. I, just mind blown, first of all. I was trying to let that
wow.
sink in. They've already exceeded their home runs as a team this year. They have 71. They've already passed last year's number, and we're just in March here. And doubles. They have 68 doubles too. Both are already above last year. They have a 713 slugging percentage as a group. As a group,
Wow.
that's pretty impressive. They're hitting
Very impressive.
361. Yes, 464 on base percentage. Again, as a team. Like as a
Oh,
team, that means everyone, right? So that's
yes.
pretty crazy. And I do want to give credit to Kieran Kumar, the head coach. She's in her first season there. And we saw power numbers like that at Miami, Ohio when she was there, when they were leading the country in home runs.
Yep.
And then now we're seeing clearly she's a common denominator here with
Yep.
being able to teach hitting, but teach hitting for power too. And they're
Yeah.
top API after the weekend.
Love it.
Yeah.
Amazing.
Anything else that you want to add in?
I don't think I have anything else. I think we've said it all. It's all my notes.
Yeah. See, I mean, the thing is like if we really wanted to, this would be days and days and days.
Sure.
We're trying to keep it,
Yeah.
reel it in a little bit.
Yeah.
One thing I will say for a mid-major highlight is Northridge.
Mhm.
So they took the series from Long Beach State, who's the preseason favorite in the Big West. They're actually leading the conference right now in the standings. They were picked to be 7th in that preseason coaches poll out of 10.
Nice.
And look at them now. They're at the top right now.
Yes.
So I don't know if the Big West is a big mess or if it's just, this is the type of chaos we like to see, but we have plenty of season left. But I just
love it.
A shout out to the Matadors. Yeah.
Yes. Shout out to CSUN. Shout out to Charlotte Morgan. SEMO head in that squad over there. Love that.
100%. Absolutely. And then, we talked about the fact that Texas is at number 1, but just some of our awards as well for D1Softball. So our National Pitcher of the Week, Tegan Cavan from Texas, she actually earned the win in all 3 of the games against Auburn in that sweep. So that's pretty crazy. She only allowed 2 earned runs the whole time at 5 hits and 11 innings. Pretty good. She's pretty good at softball.
Stupid numbers.
And this is an Auburn team. Like, we've seen what they've done this year too, and been in and out of the rankings and things. So not an easy feat at all. And then a shout out to Sam Buckley from St. Mary's. She hit 6 home runs, 15 RBIs. First ever 3 home run game in St. Mary's program history. So they took the series over Idaho State. So that's awesome. And then freshman of the week, Addie Martin from Bowling Green. She was a perfect 4-4 to start the weekend in a midweek game against Green Bay, and then 2 for 2 against Phoenix in the second game, and then multi-hits in 2 of the 3 games. She was just going crazy. So she had a .579 batting average with a few home runs as well.
Amazing.
So, shout out to all of them throughout the country too.
Yes.
Man, so cool. Love the coast to coast softball too that we see every week. It's the best. And speaking of, for a couple of California girls like us, at least you're from California. I know you're in Clemson now, but I still claim you.
Yes.
We'll go to the other coast with the interview today. And I know we were so excited to talk to Emma Lemley. So we're getting to do that. We are so excited to have Emma Lemley join us, all ACC, all region pitcher, all of the things for Virginia Tech. And Emma, I know we talked about this before we hopped on, actually, that all of us own the shirt that you are wearing right now.
Yes.
Everyone watches women's sports. Had to give that a shout out because that is the vibe we're looking
for. Yeah, thanks for having me. Excited.
We're super excited to have you. And I'm going to come in hot, I think. Everyone's talking about the perfect games. It was your first career perfect game this season, but then you're the first in program history to throw back-to-back perfect games, plus 4 no-hitters so far this year. I'm going to ask this question because everyone wants to know, what's the deal? Like, what are you eating for breakfast? Like, what is clicking for you?
I think – this is the second year that Coach Josh has been at Virginia Tech, and I think, my relationship with him has grown so much since he's gotten here, and kind of just like a trust thing, kind of just like a trusting relationship that we've been able to build. We had a lot of individuals in the fall of just trying to get on like the same page with pitch calling, and just about every time I think of a pitch that I want to throw, it's exactly what he calls. So like there we are just on the same page. And just like the support from the bullpen, from my team and my other coaches have been just like so great that, it really just kind of puts a little extra confidence into me to go out there and accomplish those things.
Yeah, obviously you've been elite your whole career, but as Jenna said, it's been a little extra special with some of your results this year. So I would love to know, what's the biggest difference you think from freshman year Emma to senior year Emma?
I would say mindset, just the mental side of the game. Throughout my career, I've ran into a few bumps. My freshman year with the illegal pitches, and then my sophomore year, we didn't really have a pitching coach, and then having to have a new pitching coach. There's been a lot of changes throughout my career, but I think the biggest thing I've kind of learned how to do is try to like see the good in everything, that all the adversity that I've seen along the way, and just trying to up my mental game as much as possible. We write down kind of like goals for the fall and for preseason and then throughout the season. And my goal for preseason was, I think it's right over there. It's to become the most confident version of myself. And so our bullpen works a lot on like visualization, imagery drills, meditations, before I go out, whenever I'm ready to go out on the field. Before every game, I say like 20 positive things about myself, about my pitching, just about my life. Kind of just like a little gratitude drill, just to get the vibes up, and kind of helps me lock in. So we've done a lot of mental work this year, and I think that has really helped me.
Love that.
The mindset is something I wanted to ask you about and dig deep into as well, because we're talking about perfect games and we're talking about pursuing perfection in a lot of ways, but we as people are inherently imperfect, right? So you're talking about some of the things you do to help yourself, but just managing what that looks like, striving to be the best, your best, while also, giving yourself grace.
Yeah, and we've talked a lot about every softball team talks about kind of having that like one pitch mindset, like taking it pitch by pitch. And that is honestly, it's one of the hardest things to do. I mean, even this season, I've found myself kind of looking too far ahead sometimes, or kind of maybe dwelling on, a home run that I gave up, or two people get on and thinking about, oh my gosh, I have to get 3 outs now, instead of just, no, you have to win the next pitch. And so that's kind of how I reel myself back in, of just like, no, you have to win this next pitch. You can't get 3 outs if you don't get this next strike, So, I know that so many people talk about that, but that really is like one of the biggest things, even in like, especially in the perfect games or the no-hitters. I kind of know what I have going on, especially into like the fifth and sixth innings. But I just have to like really make myself like hyper focused on throw the next pitch, just throw the next pitch.
I think the most impressive thing, like I feel like usually in softball we see a lot of perfect games, because a lot of the times it has to do with like a 5-inning run rule or a 6-inning run rule. Most of the time they are not complete game perfect games, and definitely not against a ranked opponent. So when I saw that your second perfect game was against then 21 ranked Northwestern, like so impressive. So just what do you think that day specifically was working for you? Obviously everyone has certain days that you like you said, what was going on and what was working. So that day specifically, bring me back to that day. What was really working for you that day?
I felt really just like loose that day. I felt really good. I had a great night's sleep. I had my no one really likes hotel coffee, but I always have a cup of hotel coffee before we leave for the day. So I had my yeah, that's kind of like my pregame routine, and everyone's like, ew, hotel coffee, and I'm like, no, but like I can't have too much caffeine. It's not good for me out there. But we talk a lot about like matchups, and I'm mainly a rise ball pitcher, and that was kind of my perfect matchup. They have a lot of kind of looking for down ball swings, and so that was kind of my perfect matchup. And Coach Josh and I talked about that. He was like, listen, like this is your matchup. We have a lot of drop ball pitchers on our team, and he was like, you're going to take this one. I think you can do some damage on them. So that kind of helped with my confidence going into the game too, of like, all right, this is like my perfect matchup. Let's go. I'm ready for this.
I love the honesty, by the way. We're like, yes, I do know what's going on. Because a lot of people are like, I didn't know. I had no idea it was a no-hitter or a perfect game. You're like, no, I know.
Yeah. I was perfectly aware. And it's so funny because we always have like
perfectly aware.
Nice.
I see what you did there.
We always have like kind of mid-inning meetings with the whole bullpen. And it was always so funny because the very first game I pitched this year, I had a no-hitter broken up in the very last inning on a bunt, and one of my pitcher girls, Cassie, she had said, "Does Lem have a no-hitter going on right now?" And so she was like, "I take responsibility for that. It was my fault." And I was like, "No, it's okay. The bunt was right to me, and I didn't field it right."
I love the accountability. I love the accountability.
She was like, "That was my fault." But then, so like the next the 2 perfect games after that, it was so funny because she would kind of just like be side-eyeing me a little bit. All the pitchers would just kind of
I'm not going to be the one.
We're not going to say anything, but like we all know. I was like, yeah, don't say it.
That's so awesome.
Amanda, as a hitter too, in her day, was known to jinx purposefully, right? Like the opposing pitchers.
Still, no shame in my game. I'm an offensive girl at heart. Like if I'm rooting for the other team, like trust, I'm saying it at baseball games. Like I'm saying it always.
That's okay to jinx the opposing team. That's okay.
Yeah, the opposing team. I would. I have feel. I'll never do it for my own pitchers, ride or die.
Yeah, that's fine.
But if I'm facing you, Emma, 100%, I'm wishing it. I'm wishing to break it up.
I respect it.
Can't stop.
That's so funny. Well, also, I have to say, I love the immaculate gear that I've seen, like the t-shirts. Like, I'm a big pun person. I've realized that I'm basically just like a walking dad joke, and it's fine. I own it. But so seeing the immaculate stuff, I was like, that is so good. So just kudos to you for that.
Yeah. Shout out to Triumph, and that's our NIL people at Virginia Tech. They came up with that, and when they posted it, I was like, wait, that's really good. That's really cool. But yeah, my dad bought like 8 shirts. So I was like, thank you for that, Dad.
That's restraint, I think, actually. Just 8, that's restraint. That was
he bought 2 for himself, 1 for my mom, my sister, my grandma, like everyone.
Dude. Need backups.
Yes.
Love it. Well, speaking of Triumph, I had seen that you do some podcasts, through Virginia Tech, and you obviously also read that you want to be a sports broadcaster. So would love to hear just a little bit more about what an opportunity NIL has given, all the athletes to kind of give the fans know more about you than just, we're lucky that we get to have you on, but to have your own podcast that you get to go on often and share more with especially the Hokie fans, to let them know who you are as a person and not just Emma Lemley who's in the circle. And then talk about just what you would like to do post softball with sports broadcasting.
Yeah. So, I mean, Triumph has given us a great opportunity. I did it with Emma Ritter last year, and now I do it with Cassie Grizzard. But we kind of started it just to, like we were saying, we wanted our fan base, because we have a great fan base. I mean, they show up to every single game, but we don't really get to ever show them who we are off the field. They just know us as softball players, really. And so we kind of just wanted to give our teammates and us an opportunity to kind of show who we are off of the field. And so we have a different teammate come on every week or every other week. We've had some alumni come on. We've had Coach Pete on, just to kind of talk about like what our day-to-day lives look like. Because I mean, it's different at every school with every program, and it's different for every sport of what everybody's day-to-day life looks like. And sometimes when, fans are just watching on TV, it can kind of seem like a intangible type of thing. Like, okay, those are just people that I see on my screen. I watch them play. But it's like I promise we actually do stuff other than softball. Like, I promise we actually are friends in real life. Like, we do actually hang out with each other. We go do fun stuff. We have other hobbies other than softball, although sometimes it's hard in season to have those hobbies. But no, it's been a great opportunity to get to hang out with our teammates a little bit more, also kind of get to know a little bit more about them, especially when we have some of the freshmen on, and just kind of introduce them to Hokie Nation. And it's always fun when some of our fans come up to us after the games and they're like, we love your podcast. It's like so fun to just listen to who you guys, really are. So yeah, that's been really fun. And then, I'm getting my degree in sports media and analytics at Virginia Tech. We have a great program here. Right now I'm actually taking a Sports Center class where I have to film, have to direct, run the cameras, edit, be in different videos. Like I did a one-on-one interview with one of my teammates. I did a little piece on our athletic trainer. And I just did some anchoring work yesterday, was my last presentation that we did. So yeah, I think like end goal once, softball's done, and I would love to be on ESPN, on ACC Network would be great. I would love to call softball games and just stay involved with softball for as long as possible.
So cool. I didn't know if you were going to be like my amazing co-host Jen. I don't know if you know this about Jenna, but Jenna can do she does any sport. She's really,
that's impressive.
The jack of all trades. So that's what I was like, I didn't know if you wanted to just stay in softball or have a little Jenna in you, or gymnastics, baseball,
that's
soccer. Awesome. Am I missing any, Jenna? I feel like you've done it all.
Women's volleyball, because I have to give a shout out to just women's sports as well.
So cool.
And basketball. So fun to do.
So cool, Jenna. That's so cool.
Well, thank you. But I just mean, because we're talking like the shirt. Emma's got the shirt, right? We got to women's sports are my fave, obviously. But I obviously have like the biggest smile, Emma, because I'm like, yes, I love that you want to do that and like to be a part of the conversations and the stories and the narratives that go into our sport. But also, are you wanting to pursue softball beyond just college from a playing perspective? Okay, so Amanda may have a chance to try to jinx your no-hitter perfect game for real.
Or play with her.
True.
Come on. Let's
support it. Good point.
Yeah. Always support unless I'm on the team against her in the other dugout. So no. Oh my gosh. I'm so happy to hear that. I was going to ask that too. Like, this is not the end, right? Play softball forever.
No. I would love to play as long as I can. Whatever opportunities come my way. I'm not ready to say goodbye to softball yet. So.
Good. Love it.
So good.
Okay. I also saw, I'm a certified dog lover. So I did see that Alice was a guest on one of your podcasts. And I also usually have a guest here next to me too. So is Alice with you all the time, or Alice comes to visit sometimes?
Yeah, she comes to visit sometimes. So I'm from Lynchburg. So it's only hour and a half from here.
Nice.
So I mean, my parents come to every single game, and our last home game, my mom was like, well, I can either bring your nephew or I can bring Alice. And I was like, I haven't seen Alice since January. So it's like, bring Alice, and can I keep her for the weekend? Because we had off last weekend. And so I was like, this is perfect. I can keep Alice. All my teammates love her. So yeah, my mom brought up Alice, and I got to keep her I think I kept her till Sunday. So
nice.
It was so fun.
That's so awesome.
Yeah.
Love that.
Yeah.
They cure all.
They really do. Did I see that one of your teammates low-key broke into your house to hang out with Alice? Is that right?
Yeah, she has our house code, and so I got home from class, and she had like mentioned the previous day that she might come over at some point, and I was like, okay, I don't really know if anybody's gonna be home, but yeah, you can come home. You can come here. I don't care. And I got home, and she scared me because she was laying on our couch, and I couldn't see her at first. I was like, oh, hey, Bree. I was like, didn't know you were here. She's just cuddling with Alice. I was like, thank you for keeping her company.
Yes. I'm sure it meant more to Bree than it did to Alice.
Yeah.
Honestly, relatable too. Like, let's be
yeah. So relatable. All right. So looking ahead, you guys have are welcoming new ACC member Stanford this weekend. Yeah. So excited to see what that looks like. It's still so weird for me to see Stanford in the ACC and have them travel all the way to Blacksburg. Yeah. But so what are you looking forward to this weekend, welcoming them into a pretty hostile environment that you have? I've been there before, and it was definitely not an easy place to play. So, I mean, I wasn't actively playing, but it definitely was a little crazy. So, yeah. What are you looking forward to this weekend?
I mean, I think this will be a great series, a great home series. Really thankful that we're at home, and I mean, we're both ranked, so this will be a good top 25 series, and I mean, I know Hokie Nation will show out, but I'm hoping we can get as many people there as possible and it's actually supposed to be warm here for once. Love that.
Love that.
Yeah, it's been a while, but yeah, I'm really excited for some warm weather. It'll be perfect softball weather, I'm hoping, and just 3 really good, really competitive games this weekend. So I think it'll be a really great environment, really fun environment to play in.
We're going to be locked in, I think. Hopefully that goes without saying, but just had to confirm. We're so excited to watch it. And I think with your teammates too, I think one thing that's so interesting is with the bullpen. Obviously, when it comes to series specifically, like you all are working together, really. Mm-hmm. And you have said that it's the most supportive pitching staff that you've been a part of. Mm-hmm. How so?
It really is. We actually, hold on, I'll show you real quick. Our managers made us this flag. They call us Pitcher Perfect.
Cute.
And so they made us this flag. With
oh my gosh.
That is awesome.
So that is, I mean, we call ourselves Pitcher Perfect, but I mean, we hang out all the time. We're kind of on a different schedule than the rest of the team sometimes when it comes to that. And so like we'll go get dinner together. We'll get a little sweet treat sometimes if it's been a really hard practice. But I mean, it's just, and I feel like a lot of a lot of bullpens are kind of moving to like this pitching staff kind of mindset, which I mean, with how good hitters are today, it makes a lot of sense, and it's really beneficial to these pitching staffs. But I mean, I think we just have a really strong like trust with each other. Of if I get in a pickle, I know that Sophie can come in and shut them down. If Maz gets in trouble, I can go in right behind her and help her out. And it helps that we all throw totally different. Like none of us throw the same, which is really kind of like rare to have 4 pitchers that all throw completely different. Yeah. But I mean, I think it just really helps that we all hang out together all the time. In that we are all very kind of just like supportive of each other for whoever's going in, whoever's getting the ball to start. It's like, all right, you got it. Go throw a no-hitter. Like, go like that makes all of our jobs easier because I mean we're kind of like, I mean, nobody can throw every single inning. So it's like, especially to get deep into the season, like it's gonna have to be all hands on deck. So like I want what's best for all of those girls, and they all want what's best for me because we all make each other better.
Yeah.
I love that you are able to say this your senior year, because so special to like be able to feel that when I feel like I'm not a pitcher, but I just feel like pitching is so lonely, right? It feels like everything is up to you guys at times. And so to feel like you have, 5 people in the circle with you and not just you, it's all on your shoulders. Not only is that really awesome for whoever is starting that day, but it bleeds into the rest of your roster, right? Of just understanding like there's no stress, because I know like if Emma doesn't have the game that I think she's going to have, like other people are there ready to take the ball, and it's infectious. So it's no wonder why you guys are having such a great year so far, of just it able to bleed into the rest of your roster. That is just so special, and it makes it much easier for the hitters. It makes it a lot easier to hit too. So really great. And shout out, I love that, like managers, they are the heroes. Like
we love them.
Yes, just for our listeners, like I don't know that the average college softball fan really understands like how much how much they do and how much they are responsible for, but also like they need to create some sort of positivity in the dugout as well. And they are bought in like no other, like creating like the flag, just creating something to buy into, like especially like as the season gets deeper and deeper, these managers like bring life and happiness and keep it light. So shout out to Virginia Tech softball managers, because that was awesome.
They are awesome. They have a TikTok page where I'm
gonna follow.
I think it's called I think it's just at the bullpen catchers. And they they steal TikToks off of our pages, and then they like edit them together, and it's just like a bunch of videos then of us like dancing.
Oh my God, I love this so much.
They are, it's just the bullpen catchers, all one thing on TikTok.
Can't wait.
They go check them out. They
make
some really funny videos of us.
That's so great.
Yeah, but no, they're awesome. We would be nowhere without our managers. Like they really do play a huge role. And our managers that we've had in the past that just graduated last year, they did so much for us. They would, if we were flying a long distance, they would pack up a truck with all of our equipment and drive it there. Like they did so much for us. So yeah, shout out to all the managers, because y'all do so much for us.
Yeah.
They're about to get an influx of followers on TikTok too.
They better.
Yeah, that is awesome. And even your battery mates too, like bullpen catchers to your actual catchers too, like with Zoe. And then your defense after this weekend, second highest fielding percentage in the country. Like those things help as a pitcher too, right?
Oh yeah. And all of the no-hitters I've thrown, we've, at least made one or two like really good game-saving plays. At Kentucky, Lila made a diving catch off of a ball that was like roped. It was roped to left field, and Lila made a diving catch on it. They when we played UVA, they made, I don't even know, like 3 or 4 really good relays to home or to third. Like they have really been on it this year, and our catchers have just we have 2 catchers, Kylie and Zoe, and I've been throwing to Kylie since I was, in I guess the 10th or 11th grade. We played travel together, and then Zoe's just a sophomore this year, but she was really determined to come back and improve this year, and she's done an amazing job. Both of them, it's just like so comfortable pitching to them back there.
Who on your team would you hate to face the most, like hitter? Who is like, okay, I do not, game on the line, I don't want to face you. I know the competitor in you, you're still gonna win.
Yeah.
But
yeah.
Who do you least want to throw to?
Probably Probably Corey. I go
Okay.
back. Corey and I go back and forth every time we throw live. We just threw live last weekend. And we go back and forth all the time. It's like I'll strike her out on like the nastiest curveball I've ever thrown, and then somehow she'll take a rise ball right here and hit it 250 feet. So it's like with Corey, we compete so much when we're facing each other, but I would say game on the line. She comes in clutch a lot. So I don't.
Good thing she's on your team.
Yeah,
Yes.
thankfully.
Yes.
Yeah.
I like it.
That's why now I'm manifesting you two being on the same team at some point down the line. Let's manifest that.
Do it.
One thing that I think is really cool is I know you talk about a lot too, Emma. You want people to remember the kind of person you are more so than the player.
Mm-hmm.
And, going to Virginia Tech, you committed in 8th grade, you're a Virginia native, you kind of knew that that's what you wanted to do. When you look at yourself now, imagining that 8-year-old girl who was so excited and started playing this sport, what would you think of yourself now where you're at?
I think I would probably look at myself and be like, wow, she's cool. What?
Yes, I love that.
She's kind of cool, but but yeah, I think, gosh, when I was 8 years old, I mean, I was just getting into pitching, and we would come watch Virginia Tech games all the time. But I have to say, I grew up a West Virginia fan, and so because my dad and my sister went there. But they don't have softball. But I was taught to be a Virginia Tech hater when I was little. Yeah, but my mom's side of the family, a lot of our cousins and my aunts and uncles went to Virginia Tech. And so as I was getting older, just started coming to camps first because it was so close, and we would go to games all the time. And I kind of just started I was like, well, this is a really nice place. I really like this place. And so it kind of just started coming up to more camps. And at that time you could talk to whatever college coaches you wanted to. So I remember I literally just, Tinch was the pitching coach here at the time. I called her on the phone just one day. I was like, hey, how are you? Just talk to her. That's how I got asked to come on a visit here, like my first visit here. I just called her on the phone. She was like, would you like to come on a visit here? And I was like, yeah, I guess. But I mean, I think if you told 8-year-old me that was just starting softball that all of this would happen by now, I'd be like, no way, you're crazy. That sounds crazy. What do you mean?
So special. She definitely would say you're really cool.
Yes.
I hope so.
Yeah, no, she would for sure. I think that's like such a trend too, like especially being younger and like liking sports, and you just don't know where the sport, whatever sport you choose to do, like where it will take you. So to think now of like, hey, getting you a degree, it's going to propel you to your career. Like, yes, your younger self would say you're more than cool. Like, you're the coolest.
Yeah. You're picture perfect, if you will, just the way you are.
Immaculate.
Love it.
Well, this was so awesome, Emma. I mean, we've been talking about wanting to talk to you for a while this season too, and really just throughout your career. It's been so fun to watch you, and we cannot wait to watch not only this weekend, but the rest of your senior year and hopefully that professional career too.
Yes. Thank you so much. Yeah, thanks for having me.
Thanks for coming on, Emma. Good luck.
Thank you.
She was so fun. I feel like this is turning into almost like a pitchers podcast because we've had her, we had Lindsey Grind last week, we had Cassidy Curd, but they're so cool. They're so fierce in the circle, but then they're so kind.
Yes.
Too. It's very cool to see.
Very cool. Very cool to get to know them a little bit more as people, just to just to hear, you know, what they have to say. We're so used to that competitor that we see on the mound. And I feel like all three of them, it's been much different than how they are perceived when they are in the circle and how they compete. So it's been really fun for us, and I'm sure our listeners, just to hear how they are as people and just what goes into them off the field as well, and what creates this persona that they have on the field.
So true. And I'm still manifesting you and Emma hopefully getting to play together professionally more so than against each other. But either way.
Yeah, and I, you know, she wants that because she doesn't want me cursing her no hitters because I'm the jinxer. I like doing that. But just know, if we're on the same team, I won't be jinxing you, Emma. Exactly. I won't be saying it out loud.
Keep it to yourself, right?
Yes.
The side eye is enough. Like she said, her teammates give her the side eye. That's all you got to do.
Yes. I won't even do that.
Yeah. Good point. Yeah. I actually literally saw and watched a game recently where a no-hitter was spoiled. Like they mentioned it in the 6th and the 7th. The first hit was given up, which was a home run, and it hurt my soul. So yes, we get it. You have to have feel, like you say.
Yes.
You know?
Yes.
But also, what would be cool, just speaking of pro softball, AUSL announcing the largest ever marketing campaign for pro softball. This is legendary campaign. And you're one of the players featured in that campaign, and it's going to lead up to the season coming this summer. I just had to quickly ask you about that too, because to be a part of the biggest ever, right? Like we've talked about how this feels different in a good way with AUSL this year, but to be part of that and feel that firsthand, just how has that been? How is it going so far?
I mean, amazing. I definitely feel super honored, but really cool. Like they're doing a really good job at showcasing our sport in the correct way. I think that you know, especially as females, like we've grown up and have had, you know, certain icons that we've looked to. And I feel like my generation was probably one of the first ones that it was like finally all of us having these female dominant idols instead of just looking up to baseball players. So I think it's really cool to try to continue that trend of making sure that these young female athletes have female athletes that they can look up to that are readily available for them, that they don't need to really dive in deeper to find some role models that look like them, that play the same position as them, that walk like them, talk like them, all those things. So just loved the way that it came together. Obviously, when you're there and doing all the things, you can't really see how the vision completely of see how that's going to all come together. But I definitely had goosebumps seeing it all today and see it on my TV. Actually, I had the TV on and got to see it. So just really cool to see that, and then have so many of our idols also involved in AUSL, and seeing the product of their hard work for so many years kind of you know, give us the opportunity. We are definitely reaping the benefits of all that they've done. So yep, super special, super honored to be a part of it, and cannot wait to see where we take this thing.
Well, some of your idols being involved and being examples for you are becoming an example for young girls who are looking forward to doing this too, which is the coolest thing ever to see that cycle. So just like, thanks for doing what you do. Thanks for being you.
No, oh my gosh, thank you to everyone who came before me to make this possible. I cannot believe I'm about to be 28 years old and I'm still playing softball as my career. Like, seriously, pinch me. 8-year-old Amanda would think that's literally everything, and that wouldn't be the case without so many amazing softball players that came before me, and obviously AU, you know, creating this space for us. So just really thankful, really excited for the future, and cannot wait for it to get even bigger. So the younger girls watching this can make a lot of money playing softball. That's the goal here.
Well, you're right. 8-year-old Amanda would think that current Amanda is so cool, just like 8-year-old Emma would think Emma's so cool now. Like, you guys have that in common.
I loved when she said that, because I've been asked that question, like, you know, so many times of what, and I mean, I was like the nerdiest softball loving 8-year-old kid. Like, I just loved softball. So that's immediately where my head went too. So when she said like, oh, she would think she's so cool, I'm like, yes, she would.
Yes.
Like her biggest cheerleader, just because like it's so true. Like they would think everything, it would be really cool. I think sometimes we forget, like, we're just going through it and we're perfectionists and always looking for more, but it is cool to take that back seat to think of what would our younger selves think of where we're at right now, right? Like, they
Yes.
don't know how high the ceiling can be, so it's really cool to say, nope, they would be really proud and think that we are really cool. So I think we definitely all have that in common. So it's a cool spot to be.
Yeah, and owning it. Love that.
Yeah.
Love
Yeah.
that. Well, on that note, I think it's a great positive note to head into our plays of the week.
Let's
So I will kick us off this week. It's been a while. I feel like she's been so good at it. But I will this week with my play of the week, and it's defensive. Big shocker for people who have tuned into this before, but defense coming from an overlooked sometimes position on the field, being in the circle. So let's just take a look at it.
Burgess at second base. Here's Danley's 2-0. That is knocked down by Danley. The glove comes off, throws to first. Got her. 1-3 on the putout to end the inning.
Just love it. I love pitchers being fifth infielders because they are. They're not just there to pitch. I mean, that's obviously a priority, but it's only part of it. And I think it was cool that it was the last out of the inning, stranded a runner in scoring position, and she's helping herself out. And the so what attitude of like, hey, my glove came off and I don't care. So what? I'm going to finish the play. Just loved everything.
No panic. No panic. Like, I did my job. I got a ground ball. I knocked it down. All I have to do is make a throw and I'm going to do it.
Yes.
Love it.
Exactly. Like, straight up. It's just very straightforward this week.
Elite. Love it. Great choice. All right. I actually chose defense as well. I'm new year, new me. I feel like I'm choosing a lot of defense this year, and I'm kind of here for it.
Tapper back toward Pennell. Crenshaw takes it. 28-1. Former Big 12 rival Missouri stuns Oklahoma for the Sooners' first ever SEC loss.
So first of all, just Taylor Pennell, an elite pitch to an elite hitter. Like, Ella Parker is a really good hitter, so it's really hard to face her with the game on the line. So obviously a really great off-speed pitch. She gets a little dribbler to a power hitter. That's usually a hit sometimes. So, and then we have an elite play by Julia Crenshaw behind the plate, coming out. She was like, nothing was going to stop her from getting that ball and throwing a dart over to first base to secure that win. So huge play, not only because it was just an incredible play, but obviously also ending the win streak and handing Oklahoma their first loss of the season. So pretty awesome out of those MIZZOU Tigers over there.
I love that you mentioned the pitch too, not just the play, because you're so right. It was all of it. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. And Julia and Taylor both like jumping all over. I mean, Taylor got out of the way as she should. Like, all well done, but they were both like, we are not going to let this.
I thought, like, watching it, I was like, oh wow, like, Taylor's about to make a really incredible play, lefty turnaround. Yeah. And no, Julia got her out of the way. She was like, give me this ball. Here for it. Perfectly executed. Great job by both of them.
Totally. She created Julia created the throwing lane, like set her feet, all the things that sometimes you can get ahead of yourself when you have adrenaline going. Like, she just stuck with it.
Yes.
I'm with you. And also, it was the 50-year celebration of the program for Mizzou this weekend with the alumni weekend and everything. So for that to be a cool, bright spot, that win in an otherwise very tough series, a tough one to be hosting.
Yeah.
Cool element there. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. Well, that was a good win for them, of course. And then we also have our win and whiff of the week. I'm leading us off with our win. I've been doing the whiff. I feel like I've been whiffing all year. But it's been it's worked, I think, in a lot of ways, but a really cool one, and one that we saw and we were like, yes, we're all over this one, which was at a Central Arkansas game at North Alabama. So let's just take a look.
There's a dog on the field. It is behind second baseman Haley Jones, now into right field. He is loose. Oh my goodness gracious. He's having the time of his life.
This is the first inning.
So let's meet our starting pitcher today, Emily Simon. And Andy Jones, she's part of a pitching staff, a three-headed attack that has been so dominant, leading the...
I mean, you just don't even really need to explain it. It's just everyone's happy. It's the top of the first. You're like getting into the zone, and it's just the best possible distraction, immediate stress relief. You like can't be in a bad mood after that.
So good. I would like be wanting a pet on the way out. Like, let me just get some pets before you have to leave us.
Right? I mean, she's like carrying the dog off the field. I'm like, I know what you're doing.
Yeah.
You're really just getting some extra loving. Yeah. Yeah. We got what you're doing. But positive vibes only. Positive.
Yes. Paw. P-A-W. I see what you did there.
Thank you.
Love
Picking
it.
up what I'm putting down. All right.
Yeah. All right. This was a hard week this week for the Whiff. So I don't know. It depends what team you're cheering on for this to be a Whiff, but I'm going to let this play and then we'll talk about it.
The fans still show up for the Seminoles. Yeah. Even last night, the Seminole fans were very loud.
A bunt that gets through the infield for a base hit. Scoring from second is Edenfield. Dak rounds third, stays there. Run scores for Florida State, and the Seminoles are on the board. 1-0 in the second inning.
And this is the chaos that short game can play on a defense. Janai Kerr showing bunt early in the count, swinging through, and puts the defense on the heels. Here, uses the short stuff again, and it's Danny Drugmuller. Because the defense was motioning around, Mina Vega going to cover first. Anna Gold goes to cover third on the bunt. Because Drugmuller lets that ball go.
Just perfectly spotted by Janai Kerr, happens to go under the glove of Drugmuller, and second baseman's covering first. Janai Kerr notices and ends up turning this sack bunt into a double, which obviously incredibly heads up by Janai Kerr and perfectly executed. But if you're looking at Duke, it's just unlucky, really is what it is. You know, you have to have Drugmuller come up with that play, and if she doesn't, then this is what it creates. It creates a whiff, unfortunately, for Duke. But this was hard because it's hard to even say that it's a whiff because perfectly executed by Janai Kerr. So that's what I was saying. Depends on what side you were rooting for to say if it was a true whiff or not. But just hate to see some weird things sometimes.
Yeah, I mean, a clear win for Kerr. Yes, totally, you're so right.
Totally.
But yeah, I mean, it just doesn't feel good for the defense. So that's clearly the whip. I mean, it was like a 0-0 game. They give the first run. You know, you don't have like the force out anymore because runners advance and there's no outs. Like, of course, like it just doesn't feel good. You know,
exactly.
You just got beat at the end. But I'm with you. I think my defensive heart is like, oh, just the slight hesitation. You know, I'm talking about the fifth infielder being the pitcher, but it's, you know, it's hard. But a full speed mistake over a hesitant one any day of the week. But it happens. To your point.
Yep, exactly.
Yeah. Well, we're gonna have plenty more plays and wins, and hopefully, I'm okay with the whiff being hard to find every week.
Yes. Yes.
Yeah. So that's actually okay. But in terms of what else is next, the D1 team going to be everywhere as usual. So Justin McLeod will be at Oklahoma State at Georgia the midweek today as this episode comes out. And then the Stanford Virginia Tech series. So seeing Emma Lemley in person, which is exciting. Eric Lopez calling the Florida UCF midweek game also today in Orlando. Which is exciting. And then he and co-host Victor Anderson will have their In the Circle episode coming out, presented by 643. And they have Travis Wilson from the Florida State staff will be on with them, which is exciting. It's funny because you mentioned all the sports earlier, Amanda. Now this is full circle. I'm calling men's volleyball this weekend. But that's going to get me ready to call 5 baseball and softball games next week. So obviously still going to be locked in.
Perfection. I love it. Get you a girl that can do all of it.
Thank you, Amanda.
Yeah.
Thank you. And I know you and Blue are going to be watching everything. as well.
Locked in. We'll be
Yes.
locked in.
Yes. And if you want to stay locked in, everybody, we have something for you. The discount code season 25 is the code itself for 25% off of monthly or annual subscriptions. Season 25 to get that deal. It's a good deal. There's so much info. We scratched the surface in this show. There's so much more as well that's available on the website and throughout all of our channels. So highly recommend. But otherwise, as usual, thank you for joining us. We love this. We love doing this every week, and we want to hear from you about what you think, what more you want to hear about, all the things. So getting ready for another week of softball.
Let's do it. We'll see you guys next week.